welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly. I'm going to be doing the Three Musketeers book tag today, and this is an original tag by Becky at Teacup the Storyteller. I just checked out her channel. It looks like a really fun one. And I was tagged by Book In with Deborah. She is a fun creator, and I just really enjoy her. One of her most recent videos is 50 before 50 is one of her goals right now, and I think she's got a little bit of time, but she talked about some of the classics that she wants to read before she turns 50 years old, and I really enjoyed listening to that, and I really hope that you'll go check out her channel today. All right, the first question in the Three Musketeers book tag is, Alexandre Dumas was born in the 19th century. Do you have a favorite time period to read about? If yes, what do you like about it? I do enjoy reading about the Victorian time period, and I think what I really like about it is the description of fashion, and I can always visualize the houses in my brain and the streets. I just love picture books that have Victorian paintings, and I love Victorian style homes. So I think that is one of the reasons that I like that so much. I could pick other time periods. I love Edwardian. I love the Regency time period to read about, but there's just something about the Victorian that's always been very special to me. All right, question number 2. Alexandre Dumas was born in France. Is there a French author whose book you'd recommend? And I would have to say Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I read that in high school. It is definitely a challenging read, but I really like it a lot. And I think it's one of those that, yes, it can be intimidating, but make sure that you have just a good version that has some good translation in it, and you can do it. It is a beautiful story, and I love the musical as well, of course. All right, number 3. Alexandre Dumas often based his novels on real events and historical figures. Is there a person from the past, artists, politicians, simply anyone who you'd like to meet? Well, I'm a Christian, so of course Jesus, but I think that's probably one of those Sunday school answers that's cheating a little bit. I've always thought that it would be extremely interesting to be there when the Wright brothers, took their first flight over at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Wouldn't that be fascinating? Alexandre Dumas wrote some pretty chunky books. For example, the Count of Monte Cristo is almost over 1,000 pages, as opposed to his son, Alexandre Dumas Jr., whose only book, The Lady of the Camellias, is less than 180 pages. What is the longest and shortest book you've read? And I've just wondered, am I saying his last name right, Alexandre Dumas? I've always thought that's what it was, but I'm going to have to look that up, and you can maybe laugh at me later because I've been saying his name wrong the whole time. Okay, so the longest book I've read is definitely the Bible. I haven't really talked about this, I don't think, but I read the Bible in its entirety every year. The last 2 years I've done a chronological reading, so it's like you might be in Genesis, and then you'll start reading Job, because the events of Job take place during the events of Genesis, even though it's at a different place, like in the table of contents of the Bible. So that's what I've done. I've done different Bible reading plans, but yes, so that's the longest book that I've read, and I've read it through several times now. And I think that the shortest book that chapter book that I've read, there was a series that I read in my late elementary, junior high, and young high school years, because it just kept going, called the Elizabeth Gayle series. And if you used to be able to walk into a Mardell bookstore and you could find 40 of those things, and there were tiny little books. The author's name was Hilda Stahl. Does anybody remember those? Kids of the 90s, does anybody remember reading those? Let me know. Okay, the next question. I don't think there's a video in which I wouldn't mention my favorite book, The Three Musketeers. Is there a book you want everyone to know about? It can be your favorite book of all time or some recent read you'd recommend to other people. All right, I really struggle with saying my favorite book of all time. Let me go with one of my favorite books of all time. I talk about its book by this author a lot, The Secret Garden, as being a favorite. But I also really love Little Lord Fauntleroy by Frances Hodgson Burnett as well. I would add that to favorites. It's one I don't think I've ever mentioned, so I'm just giving that book a shout out today as one of my favorites. I have so many, I can't say one favorite. All right, next. One of the most famous quotes in literature, all for one, one for all, came from the pen of Alexandre Dumas. Do you keep track of your favorite quotes when reading? Do you have at least one quote you'd like to share? Which book does it come from? Now, as far as I know, this favorite quote of mine does not come from a book, and I don't really know very much at all about the quoter. It's just one that I heard years ago, and it has stuck with me, and I have to remind myself of this all the time. And the quoter is Martin Lloyd-Jones, and the quote is, "Have you realized that most of your unhappiness in life is due to the fact that you are listening to yourself instead of talking to yourself?" Think about that one for a minute. Think about that. I mean, of course, it's not going to take away everything that makes us unhappy. If you've had someone in your family just die, if you're going through depression, if you have a very ill child that's going through something chronic, it's okay to grieve and to be sad. That's not what I think this quote is saying. It's that a lot of the stresses that we don't need to be dealing with are because we're not talking to ourselves, telling ourselves what we need to hear, and instead listening to those anxious thoughts and not stopping them in their tracks instead. So think about that one. The Three Musketeers is a book of strong friendship and allegiance. Do you have a favorite fictional friendship? I would say from the Infernal Device series, I love Will and Jem's friendship. They are supposed to be a pair bataille, which are warriors that are stronger if they fight together, and they choose each other to be partners and as warriors, and they have even had a ceremony that has bound them together. And it's interesting that pair bataille are told that they may not have a romantic bond, so it is supposed to be a platonic close friendship. All right. The Three Musketeers is a story with strong female characters who are brave, fearless, yet gentle and loving. However, some of them prove to be true evil. Do you have a favorite female fictional character? Who is it and why? And I feel like I talk about her all the time, but Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables by Ella Montgomery, who I mentioned as a favorite author before. I really just feel like the optimism, the creativity, the hope, just being able to see things in a sunny way, the over dramatic nature. There's just something about Anne Shirley that just grips my heart. All right, the next question. There are more than 50 film adaptations of the Three Musketeers. Is there a film adaptation that you enjoyed more than the actual book? All right, so this would be a TV adaptation, Bones, and it is based on the Temperance Brennan series that is by Kathy Wright, and she was a producer on the show. And I tried the first book in that series. It was okay, but not great. It was one time where the series ends up being much better, in my opinion, than the books. Has anybody read the series and also watched the show? And I also like the guy that played Jack Hodgins, I think was his name on the show. He was the bug guy. He showed up in my Pilates classes every now and then when I used to live in the LA area. All right, and number 10, I own 3 different editions of Three Musketeers. Is there a book you own more than one edition of? And actually, right now, I don't think there is. There may be copies of some books that we have for our children that are actually technically our kids' books, but I myself, I don't think I have any duplicates. I think I have maybe a duplicate of a couple where I have a digital and a copy, on my shelves, but I don't think so, which is crazy for a booktuber. Have you read The Three Musketeers or any other book by Alexandre Dumas? If yes, which one? Okay, I've read a couple by him. I have read The Count of Monte Cristo, which was, whoa. They're not lying. It was a long one, and I did it in high school, and I thought I was never going to finish it, but I did love it. I really enjoyed it. And this is a short one, but E.T. Hoffman has the most famous version of the Nutcracker, but Dumas also wrote a version of the Nutcracker as well, and my kids read it this last December, and the previous year we read the E.T. coffin one. So I was a ballet dancer, so I have a special love for the Nutcracker. So I liked both versions. So all right, now it is time for me to tag someone. I feel like she's my booktube like sister. I'm gonna tag Deea from Novelidea. There's just something about us. It's like we have like group brain or something, because we have so many similarities. Of course, there are some differences. I read a little bit of thrillers and she's not really a thriller reader, but just the children's books that we love, the fantasy that we both love, the things that we both are just like, nope, we're not gonna read that. We're so similar. So I would love to know her responses to these, but no pressure, Deea, if you don't want to do it. I just really wanted to give you a shout out. Please go watch her channel. I think that she is just so beautiful inside and out, and would love for you to check out her content. All right, friends, thank you for watching today. I hope you read a lot and have a great day. Bye-bye.